let's do it. All right, before we get going, make sure that if you're not subscribed to the channel, to subscribe to the channel. One of the big things we do on our farm is test a lot of different methods of no-till, and this is one of those tests that maybe didn't go the way I thought. All right, so the idea here was we have like an 18-inch tall stand of buckwheat. We need to get rid of it so that we could get into the soil. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could leave a little of it as a mulch instead of kind of dropping it, which would essentially be mowing it and putting it on the ground and then planting into that. Because that, in a sense, actually is going to lose more carbon than if you just use it as a mulch, right? Because it's chopped up, it's going to be easier for the sun to burn up and microbes to eat and all that stuff. So I was like, it would be cool if we could get this to crimp down, but buckwheat's kind of hard to crimp. I've tried it several times over the years, and it's just not that easy, but it's a really tender crop. You'd think it would be really easy to do. So instead, what we tried to do here is I thought, well, what if we couple that with flame weeding, right? I thought, what if we just kind of run it over with the flame weeder after we crimp it? And we tried that. I had Nate go in front of me with the flail mower, but not mowing. It's just crimping. It was just crushing it. It's not the best crimper. It's just I don't have my rotary or my power harrow right now. I'm loaning it out because I don't use it anymore. But that's what I would usually use because it's like a 200-pound implement and it's got a great roller on it. So that actually rolls really well. This is lighter, and I just wanted to push it down, and I thought it wouldn't be a big deal. And it actually did a good job of just laying the crop down. Because like I said, buckwheat's super tender. But what it didn't do, I thought the flame weeder could make up for it. And I thought it would burn those tender stems once you kind of expose them, right? And it did sort of work. Like right now what I'm looking at, and I'll show you this, is a bunch of really burnt tops on some buckwheat that's standing back up. So, not super effective. Good try, but not super effective. So what we're gonna have to do today is just kind of mow it, and if it seems like it's coming back up, one thing we've done with tender greens in the past is mow them and then flame weed them, and I kind of think that's got to be the option here. Because what is happening is that when you lay that mulch down and then you burn over top of it, all you're doing is burning the top layer of mulch and everything underneath it is surviving. I actually went over this twice and this is what it looks like. I could go over it a third time, but at this point, using a lot of fuel and energy, I'd rather just chop it, drop it, and plant into it. It's not the end of the world, but I think what I like about the chop and then flame weed is that you're chopping it and then you're sort of cauterizing that stubble. And so you end up with a little stubble. We have our flail mower set really low when it mows, so it's going right at the soil surface. It's not spinning over the soil at all, but it's just cutting right at it. And it works really well. I love that option. But you may want to still cauterize it after doing it. At this point, I think I'll probably just plant into it and see how it goes. I'm a little bummed it didn't work, but I think if you wanted to modify that, like if you wanted to make that work, there has to be a rake in, this is what I assume. I think you'd have to have some sort of raking mechanism underneath of the flame weeder. So what I mean essentially is that you have to be able to move that stubble around so that all of it can get burned. If you're doing this on a large scale, that may be a good option, but if you're doing this on, 4 beds, building such a mechanism may not be viable. So yeah, we're just gonna mow it and then see if we need to burn it. Probably won't burn it, probably won't need to. But we're just gonna mow it and then plant into that. I think it's got potential, but it's gotta be adjusted, and it may be different for different crops. In fact, now that I'm looking at it, it seems like all the crops, even I had a bunch of different stuff planted in here. I even had some cucumber and some some corn. It looks like pretty much everything is still alive to an extent. So yeah, maybe not the best option. It may work for certain crops, may not for others. But I do see potential there. It's just got to be modified somehow. So let me know what you would modify about it. Let me know any thoughts you have on that. Otherwise, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Check out the Patreon page. We just added some new benefits over there. We're trying to incorporate more videos with the podcast. So if we talk about something on the podcast, like somebody's, I don't know, specific implement, we would like to put that on video and give that to you. So you actually can see it, you can actually look at it. That's what we want to incorporate going forward with the podcast. We're gonna do some demos of that in season 2, so you see what I'm talking about. But that's the future, but it needs, the Patreon page has to grow for me to be able to do that. So check that out. Check out the new tier benefits, all those good things. You get your name shouted out on the podcast. Think about supporting us if you can. Otherwise, you all, thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. Maybe sooner. I don't know why I always say that. All right, bye. How is this where I live? It's amazing. This is what I do every morning.